things that are going on in current affairs. Sometimes we'll get into sports. We'll do some movie reviews. We'll talk about music. Talk about any of the topics that we feel like most interesting.
Yeah, man. We got to have a man segment, man. We got to have the craziest gig segment that you ever heard. And we dig into the relationship between women and men and women, and all types of sorts of things, man. We get to speaking out about movie reviews that, our favorite directors and favorite actors and favorite characters and characters that you love to hate, man. It's gonna be crazy.
You know how sometimes you have characters like you have an actor and you're looking at the actor and he makes you forget completely that person is that other individual. You're like, man, I hate this person. But it's really, they're just so good at the job that, it makes you, you get enveloped in that and you forget that this person is actually acting.
You know who's my guy for that? Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx and Ray.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
I didn't know he had that much skill in acting until that point. Because
yes, sir.
I was like, Jamie Foxx is Jamie Foxx. It's Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, come on.
It's like, you didn't think it's like he's going to come out there and start out of the blue really in becoming Ray, because I didn't even think about Jamie Foxx as Ray in terms of the beforehand, like the precursor, right? I just thought, okay, yeah, he's going to do Ray, he's, whatever. But he actually became Ray so much in that movie that I didn't even see Jamie Foxx anymore. I just saw Ray Charles.
Forget about it, man. There's no way you saw Jamie Foxx playing Ray. You saw Ray.
You saw Ray. You saw Ray. Ray himself doing what he does. I wasn't even thinking about Jamie Foxx. All I could think about was like, okay, that's Ray Charles. This is how Ray Charles is acting.
But it shows you the range of some people, man, and the research that some people go so far as to do. Yeah. Jamie Foxx goes on to talk about how he sit there with Ray Charles and just jam with Ray. Yeah. And he said one day he hit a wrong note, and Ray was like, hey, man, why you do that, man? Why you do that? Why you play that? Why you play that note wrong, man? Say, man, when you sit down with legends that you have to portray, I believe it has to take you to another level. Exactly. If you don't level up after sitting next to the person that you're gonna portray, you're not at that level yet. You gotta let that movie go.
Exactly. And not only that, you gotta give respect where it's due, because I'm sure Ray himself was like, hey, you playing me.
Come on.
Play me right.
Come on.
Don't come in here and mess around. You gotta play me right. Black people gonna be like, we know what Ray is like.
There you go.
You better come
on. We know who he is, man. You can't come up here and just do anything.
Exactly.
But So that little scene where he go to feeling on the wrist. He go to feeling on that wrist and see what's going on. Say, hey man.
Exactly.
He went to backing up. I say, man, if that ain't real right there, that's real right there.
Stuff. And see, luckily for him, he was able to do that while Ray was still alive.
Right.
Because he would have had to take certain type of actor. And I know a certain type of actors, sometimes they don't even want anything to do with that individual. Like, they will actually want to create the character on their own.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? And some people have done well with it, surprisingly enough, because they felt like they didn't want to taint certain things. But I've seen actors pull it off where they weren't in actually contact with the person they're portraying,
right?
Because they felt like they were good enough. They could form their own, formulate their own type of portrayal of that individual, and they ended up actually not doing a bad job,
right?
Because whatchamacallit was what was the guy from Black Panther who did James Brown and Get Up? You know what I'm talking about? Chadwick Boseman. He did a great job.
Chadwick.
He did a great job. Man. I was like, man, I felt like it was James Brown.
But at the same time, it's like I love when they show you the good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it gives the whole. It shows you it can't show you the whole person, but it shows you all. It shows you some of the sides.
Some of the sides of it. And that's one thing that I realize with people don't understand is like you can't compress one person into one sitting or one type of an event. They are multifaceted. Mm-hmm. And we're all multifaceted as people.
Yes.
And that's one thing that we want to talk about on our podcast, is the fact that there's multifaceted things that we can actually explore.
Right.
That we have an interest in, and probably other people have an interest in. We probably want to explore those things because those are things that are interesting or funny to us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like my generation, your generation have a different perspective on, you know, millennials, Generation Z, and how they think and how we think, how we grew up. You know, like, you know what I'm saying? That type of perspective is completely different. And it's
funny how, like, funny is funny.
Yeah.
Different types of funny to different generations.
Exactly.
Like, a Richard Pryor funny might not be funny to Kevin Hart generation.
Exactly.
It's a hard mix, man.
Hard mix. And to be honest with you, this is the thing. Like, I come from a generation, like, I like Dave Chappelle a lot.
Right.
I like, because he's part of this generation. He's kind of come up for a certain period of time. He's a beast to me. But you know what? Like, Eddie Murphy is just naturally funny. He just, he doesn't have to try to be funny. He just comes up. He doesn't try to make himself funny. And this is the thing. I think he was kind of scared to come back. Like, his brother said, oh, he's going to suck if he comes back.
Oh, man.
But I don't think Eddie Murphy can suck at doing comedy because he's pretty much one of the greats of comedy.
Right.
You just have to get, you know, material because, you know, Keenen Ivory Wayans, Paul Mooney, they wrote his material for Raw and for his other special. So he would just have to get writers. But he is naturally just a funny person, period. You know?
Right. And then we can get into the conversation of, can you call somebody comedic, a comedic genius if they didn't write their own material?
That is.
What's your take on that?
So I'll give you an example. So it's almost like the same thing when you talk about like Cardi B or one of these other artists who happen to write some of their material, but some of their material is written by somebody else. And Drake does that too. But think about it like this. I mean, why do we have an intention to that, make that like a negative when people sing people's songs all the time that was written by somebody else? So does it make you know what I'm saying? So why is it any less authentic because somebody else wrote it? It is, you know what I'm saying? They still have to pull it off. You know, you still even if somebody gives you a rap, right? You still have to deliver the rap well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You still have to, it doesn't make any difference if somebody else. I mean, Dre had a lot of his stuff written by Jay-Z, by Ice Cube, and other people, but guess what? He still had to deliver. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's all in deliverance, really, because people don't really care. Ultimately, people don't really care where it came from, as long as it's good. It can suck. If it sucks or not, that's a different story. If it sucks, I don't care, because you garbage, because I don't like the way you delivered it. It sucks. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can't make something that's not good and try to make good. You know, you can't have chocolate covered roaches. They still roaches. You know what I'm saying? So you put chocolate on them and try to offer it to them and say this is a Kit Kat. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's chocolate covered roaches.
You still have to be good enough to do it.
Exactly.
And it brings me to some stuff I watched on TikTok. You know, TikTok's taking over whole houses and nations right now. Yeah. And TikTok had a post where I saw most of the songs that I felt were iconic Luther Vandross songs were covers. Yeah.
Really?
Like iconic Luther Vandross songs are covers from bands from New England, bands from over here, artists, solo artists that were here. Yeah, I got to find the post and show you, bro. It's like, what is this? What? And I'm just like, I'm like in awe that it wasn't his, but he delivered it so well that you couldn't even, you wouldn't be able to tell. You would swear that he wrote it.
But you know the weird thing is, like, I talked to my daughter, and she told me that basically she's listening to songs from like The Cure and The Smiths. Like, that's the 80s. Like, she said, oh, that's like the new thing. I'm like, what? How do you even know about these groups?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, she's like, yeah, that's like the new thing. They're like 80 groups. And I'm like, do you know who Tears for Fears is? She's like, no. I said, how do you not know who Tears for Fears is? And so there's other, but how do you know who Tears for Fears, but you know what The Cure is?
Wow.
And I'm like, who's the lead singer for The Cure? I don't know. Robert Smith. You don't know that? You know what he looks like, right? But it's weird to me because, like, that's nowhere near her generation.
Nowhere near.
You know what I'm saying? But that's something that they're, like, rediscovering as we speak. It's weird.
It's a phenomenon right now, man. I felt we've been going. I don't want to say backwards, but we've been doing this retro thing for like the last 4 or 5 years, where we go back and grab tunes from the 2000s, and then we're going remix stuff from the 90s, and now we're doing a whole beginning of the 80s revolution with everybody's music. It's either that or it's house music.
Oh, I heard about people trying to bring back house music.
They're bringing it's weird.
It is weird because it's like exactly. What do you do with
what do you do with that?
You don't have. It's like almost like they have no way of being more creative to come up with their own sound.
But the question is, are we enjoying it, or are we being sold it?
Yeah.
That's my big question. That's a big question for the audience. Write down in the chat.
Yes.
Write down below. Whether you think we're enjoying this retro music revolution, or are we being sold it? Do you really like it?
True. And that's the funny thing. There's also an opinion that a lot of record companies have sold music to market specifically for it to dumb down people or audiences, so that they can just like not think. Like, if you think about like techno and house music, a lot of it's associated with drugs and LSD and type of like those
trance, like
those those drugs that kind of make you forget about certain things in life. And so you start attaching those things to drugs and alcohol and other stuff. You pretty much want that whole audience to be like pretty much like clueless and like zombies, so they can not think about all the things that the government actually wants to put in place. You know what I'm saying? Yes, so even when you think about, like, they were talking about gangster rap, right? Gangster rap really, it's people talk about it being like something that promotes, violence and promotes certain types of things, and the artist is saying, well, I'm just giving an expression of what's happening in the streets. So where is the fine line between you promoting something that's that's negative, that's encouraging other black people to kill each other, and you documenting history or documenting what your story is. You know what I'm saying? Because you can still tell your story without saying I'm going to kill this other black man, or make, you know what I'm saying? You can still tell a story about situations without making it a situation where I'm looking at other black men as my enemy. Because that's basically what the music is really doing.
And then then sometimes you're asking yourself, like, how far do you let somebody talk about getting ready to hurt somebody before you arrest them or consider them questionable? And like, do you broadcast this hate? You broadcast. You're not just broadcasting it. You're not just putting it in everybody's home. You're selling it to a specific audience.
Correct. And
like, at least at first, you sold it to a specific audience.
Exactly. And then what is the biggest audience? The white audience is bigger.
Our Caucasian audience, our Caucasian brothers and sisters.
Because to be honest with you, if you think about the strange things people don't realize, that we're only a certain percentage of the population. We might get a lot of attention on the news for like crime and all these other stuff, but guess what? We don't make up the population. 60% of the population in America is Caucasian, and then we're like 13%. So we probably influence the culture probably more than anybody else, but we don't make up more people. That's like when people say, "Oh, people can have a race war." It would be impossible. We don't have enough people in this country to do something like that. And then the odds are overwhelmingly in the favor of the majority that's in society in America, which is not us. You know what I'm saying? So when people have all this attention to us because we have our skills like LeBron and artists, Prince and all these other people, and Beyonce and all these other people that bring attention, it's just because we tend to stand out more because, of course, there's not many of us. There's not many of us.
We do things over and beyond the scope of some nationalities.
Correct.
And we are put in the spotlight because I believe everybody wants to do something like us. They make it so that everybody wants to do something like us.
Yes.
We have that glow, that inner inner source that everybody's just like, man, I gotta have a piece of that.
Exactly.
But like it just like it turns. I don't like it because it turns people sort of kind of on us later on. They buy into our culture, and then they go, well, you guys shouldn't be doing that. Exactly. But you sold it already.
Exactly.
You sold what we did.
Exactly.
Didn't give us a piece. Or you give one of us a piece.
Yeah, you give the ones. Yeah, you give certain ones. You give certain ones a piece because they're gonna shut up. They're not gonna make any waves. You know what I'm saying? Because think about it like this. The whole situation. That's the whole situation that bothers me in society is that look at all these players that are coming out of the NBA, right? Mm-hmm. How come we haven't started our own league by this time? Like, black people are always going to be in the NBA. Why hasn't nobody decided, like, okay, let's create our own universities. We're all going to this university, and we're all going to teach our people basketball. Obviously, we're the ones who are the main people who are playing basketball, who are the best at basketball in the world. Pretty much. Anybody in America knows that the NBA goes over to everybody else and pretty much destroys everybody. That's why it wasn't even a challenge for us to go to the Olympics, playing basketball, because we just was killing everybody. So if that's the case, maybe why are we not valuing our young men who are coming out of college or getting to the point where they're going to play basketball? Why don't we bring entertainment, like our entertainment, instead of us allowing these individuals to have what we don't hold for value, which is our talent? Why don't they bring them to us? We are going, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Because what is it? If you look at the audience when you see an NBA game, it's Caucasian and mixed with other people. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then it's all majority, 99% black people on the court. You have some, once in a while you have a white or a Hispanic, but most likely is going to be black, right? So if that's the case, don't we not see that we're valuable? Like, why we have not got to the point where like saying like, hey, why don't we start our own league? You can't sue everybody. If LeBron has decided, listen, you know what? I'm gonna play in Texas. Y'all give us all the whole state of Texas. Black people all move to Texas. You know what I'm saying? And then then basically we're going to start our league. And if you want to see us play, we're going to Texas. Not just hypothetical. Because all black people can't go.
There's a lot of people who attempted to do. I feel like you're headed in a great direction with that, man. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if some of major key players in certain things just got together and said, this is what we're doing.
Exactly.
We're going to have our own camps.
Exactly.
We're going to have our own scrimmages. We're going to have our own stuff in our own places.
Correct.
We could get things done and done so much faster, but it's just like when we show up to that job every week.
Yeah.
For the same amount of money. And you're used to getting a check.
Exactly.
We've been getting these large, giant sums. Exactly. Well, not we, but really. Certain players have been getting these large sums of money, and they're not ready to let that go.
Exactly. What the crazy part about it is that you have situations where I remember this other guy. His name's Gary. It wasn't Gary V. Was it Gary V? Gary V was talking to Nipsey Hussle. He was saying, now this guy is a Caucasian gentleman who does marketing and does a lot of stuff. Like, why is it that he makes that suggestion and black people are not like? He's like, oh, that's a good idea. But like he was saying, why don't LeBron and all these like specific members decide to do that? And I was like, why is it coming from his side? We should have been saying that ourselves. And we should be like, invest. Why isn't Michael Jordan and LeBron and Kyrie Irving and all these other people, why are they not investing in the generation that's to come? Like, you're not going to make as much money, and you'll make more money being an owner than you're going to be a player, right? So why are we not owning this real estate that is us? You know what I'm saying? Because let's be honest with you, because you start looking at the whole situation when it comes down to the drafts and things like that, it looks like the same situation with slavery. It pretty much looks like the same thing, because you're bidding on these individuals, you're putting them on a block, and you're saying, okay, you're rated number 1, you're rated number 2, you're rated number 3.
Right.
Same thing. And if you look at the combine, when they're doing the NFL, it's the same thing. It's the same exact thing. You're running for what's called. You're going to amount of odds. They're putting down. You're pretty much like cattle when you go over there. You're just trying to be either in the number one spot, and then you still got to go to the draft at the point where they're still rating you on a system. You know what I'm saying? And they're really bidding on you how much they're going to give you. To be honest with you, if you think about how much money that you bring to the table, like they said, there's a statistic from someone that like LeBron got like $760 million, but he's bringing billions of dollars to a city. Billions of dollars to a city. How are you bringing billions of dollars when you only getting $760 million? Does that make any sense? Because that doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense, and it's kind of like it's kind of ludicrous.
Yeah, it's ludicrous.
It's crazy how much money we bring to these industries, and we only get like these pieces of what's left.
Yeah.
And I find it like very hard to believe that we're only getting pieces. Like my mentor, one of my mentors, Eddie Pugh, got me to thinking like that. He was like, "Man, I don't want to be the best player on the team. I want to own the team."
Exactly.
It's like, think about it. The stadium. Think about the state. How much money the stadium that day that a game is happening is pulling in. You know what I'm saying? You could make your $100,000 or maybe let's say you made $1 million a game. What is the stadium pulling in for profit?
That's what I'm saying.
Off food, off people being at ticket sales, of merchandise and drinks
and food, because you know a lot of money is in the concession.
Yes,
you know
sir.
All that money that it's just almost like when you go to the movies, it's not in the ticket sales of the movie, it's the concession.
It's the concession.
You're paying money for the concession. So why? I don't understand. Black people, if you're listening to this, wake up and get your own universities, grab your own, create your own team. I saw that Ice Cube was trying to create, he'd had that 3-on-3 teams where basically he'd have older individuals who were used to be in the NBA play.
Right.
Then they're going to have one-on-one, which is great. But guess what? We still have young men getting out of college that we could start recruiting into our own universities if we would decide, okay, listen, with Jordan and LeBron and whoever, Steph Curry, why don't y'all create your own university? And then guess what? Now everybody funnels through that university or universities that we have. Now they've got to bid on that, and they don't have to be bid on. They will just go to our league that we own and control.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because nobody's going to go see anybody who's not like us play. Because we've been doing this for a long time. So guess what? If you come to us now we control the game. Why are we allowing somebody else to control the game? Because what happens? They give that one individual a lot of money, and really it's not a lot of money. It looks like a lot of money to us, but they never tell you how much the managers and the owners are making. You know, you don't know how much money. Like Jay-Z became an owner, part owner for a period of time. Then he decided, I think he changed and became an agent. I don't know. There was an agent before. There was a conflict of interest. Can't remember which one. And then you had, I think Magic was an owner for a period. But how many owners are black? And there's all black people on board. You know what I'm saying? They only allow a certain amount of people in those rooms. Just like I remember, and we shouldn't have to go to other people who are not our likeness and within our likeness in order to start gaining to be successful. But look at Kanye West. Kanye West was in all this debt. He went to Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg invested in him and his ideas. He was able to go get his shoes, get all the things he needed, create his own factory, get his land, got out of debt, you know what I'm saying, based on his partnerships with, I guess, Balenciaga and all these other companies, supposedly that he had sponsored, he had gotten some strategic partnerships with, got out of debt, and is making money, more money than he's ever made. And he's a billionaire now. And that's only, but why did he have to be funded by him? Why couldn't he be funded by somebody else that was black, or black billionaires? Or, you know, there's black billionaires in Nigeria and Africa who have more money than anybody over here.
Or maybe a caucus of black people who come together and support that view.
Exactly.
And it's like, but, you know, at the same time, you have to, like, a lot of people have to be sold the dream. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. And that dream usually comes with some Caucasian guy giving you a large lump sum of money. It's like the lotto. We don't see us winning unless it's the lotto.
Exactly. And that should not be, because you know, there's one thing I realize is that everything you desire to have in your life is already within you. You can get, it depends on how far you dig deep to get whatever you want. Because you're going to have to make a sacrifice for a certain amount of things. Like, you can't tell me that these people, like Kanye and Jay-Z and all, they didn't make sacrifices. It might be sacrifices that we don't want to make.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They made some sacrifices. They might have sacrificed their character and integrity to be there. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I think at a certain level, when you get to that level where you're making that much money, most likely you probably had to sacrifice your character.
You have to give, something has to give.
Something has to give.
Something somewhere, no matter who you go to get it from.
Correct.
Something is there's gonna be a sacrifice that has to be made. Your time.
Correct.
Your time with your spouse or your kids or just a loved one. You're gonna have, sometime that time is gonna have to be either sacrificed or it has to be put in the plans for there to be a deficit of something else.
Exactly. Because
for you to overcome what you want to.
Because think about it like this whole situation with him and Kim Kardashian and stuff. Now they're divorced, right? You don't have a family. Yeah, beautiful kids and beautiful wife at a certain point. At what point in life do you have to prioritize, right? Like being a billionaire is great, but guess what? Now you're alone. You know what I'm saying? You know, billionaire, you could date all these women. Guess what? But your kids are like, you know, they don't have their father in their life 24 hours. I mean, the great thing for him, he bought a house across from his kids. So, you know what I'm saying? I mean, but not everybody can do that.
No.
Not everybody has the money to just
not everybody do that.
I'm going to buy a house across from my kids. My kids come see me across the street, which is beautiful.
That's going to be our next topic, man. That's our next topic. Let's talk about our next topics. Let's talk about our next topics. I like that. We're going to talk about fathers that can't be in the house and fathers that really want to be there, but the systems that keep them from being in those houses.
I like that.
We gotta touch on that, man. And when we get there, man, I wanna ask you this question. I want you to think about a question to ask me so we can close out the podcast. Okay. Where do you see Dirk Taylor in 5 years?
Woo! That's a hard question, brother.
Where do you want Dirk Taylor? Where do you want Dirk Taylor to be in 5 years?
You know, I want Dirk Taylor to have the interpretation of, or at least I want Dirk Taylor to be at a certain level, or my interpretation of what success is. Like, not anybody else's interpretation of what success is. What my interpretation of what kind of legacy I want to leave. That basically what I really want, because there's a certain, like, I just turned 50, right? So there's a certain amount of things that I perceive that I should have already had, quote unquote, by this time in my life. But I'm still alive, so I still have the potential to get to that point.
Yes, sir.
I mean, if I look at Colonel Sanders, he didn't really start till like he was 70, and
that's a whole nother story, B.
Everybody knows him around the world. So, like, do I have the capacity to wait to 70 to actually to be successful? Probably not. But, you know, I'm sure at a certain point he just kept going. He never stopped. He never quit. He just kept going. And I think that no matter what, that if you decide, okay, this is what I determine is going to be my version of success, I'm not going to quit till I get it. And then I want to leave that legacy for other people. So, like my daughter and other people. So I don't want to just keep it just to myself. I want to say, okay, when I came here, I made my mark. And then people say, okay, he made his mark. And then that's it.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. Where do I see Daryl?
Yeah, where do we see Daryl?
Where do we see Daryl Effort in 5 years?
Yeah, exactly.
In 5 years, I see Daryl Effort working with Dirk Taylor on the D&D Level Up podcast, being the number one podcast
in the world
for at least last 2 years.
Exactly.
Being the number one podcast in the world for the last 2 years.
We're gonna beat out
also, a father, great husband to my wife, great father to my kids. I also have a side of me that just love things and love leaving things and cars. I see myself I see me and my wife with a collection of motor vehicles. we're not even gonna go just with cars. We don't just see ourselves with cars. Motor vehicles. We got motor boat, motor home, motor car, motor bicycle.
I tried to get that and I got chills.
You got chills. I already know. There's a side of me that wants that, but there's also that side of me that wants everyone that's in my vicinity to own a very valuable business.
Yeah, exactly.
Very,
business. We do want to talk about
a very vital business to everybody. Yeah. And and I want to be that person that gets a chance to reach out and give my expertise that I've been studying and to pull somebody up and to bring that all together so that we can be that powerhouse that we talk about, that we want the LeBrons and all these giant players with all this money to be and create these leagues. I want to create these businesses where we can be basically self-sufficient. We can come together and have a definition of we.
Yeah, exactly.
When we say we, because a lot of people like to use it as a cop-out. They say, oh, what you mean by we? We ain't we, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, man, come on. Yeah, exactly. That's the reason why we can't get we. Yeah, exactly. Because we don't want to accept that there might be a group of people that are just like us that can work toward the same goal. And I find that this is a great start to that. I'm going to call it the we. Here on the D&D podcast, leveling up. Let's go. And that's a wrap for us, y'all.
That's a wrap, guys. You make sure to subscribe to our channel. Make sure to like us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and make sure to stay up, keep your head up.
Tweet us with your conversations that you want to hear these grown men talk about. And if you don't want to hear us talk about it, still write it down in the comments. If you don't like it, write it down in the comments. If you like it, write it down in the comments. We want all the smoke. You know what I'm saying? Baby. Send it out to your friend, your grandma, that auntie you don't like. Send it on out. Go ahead, get it done. And go ahead and listen. Get you a good listen in on the D&D podcast. Leveling up.
Leveling up. All right, we out.